Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. What is on, my peeps and peeps? It's us. We're here. Woo, 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 woo. And just before we start the stream, there's been some changes, and I think I'm gonna go. Hello. Hello. Good morning, Forest Mystic. Good morning, Oldest Man Rod. Good morning, Mina. And hello, Rat Satan. Good morning, good morning, good morning. And hello, James. To you too. Hello. Hello, people. Good morning, Rat Satan. Good morning, James. Good morning, Mina. Good morning, Rod. Good morning, Mystic. Hello. I'm at work right now. Oh, fair news. Thank you for coming to say hi. But make sure you do your work. Anyway, I shouldn't be here right now. Well, go back to your work, my friend. Thank you very much for coming in to say hi. I do appreciate it massively. That Ara caught me off guard. What, me doing it or the announcement? Work is important. Work is important. Yes. Hello. The sun will never set on Valheim Empire. Indeed, I come bearing good will and farts. Okay, freaking get that out of here, man. Sounds like an old man. Indeed, I think it's in the name, you know. You young bit anything. Anyway, good morning. I like money. Yes. To spend on anime girls on my computer. Yes. Indeed. Anyway, give me a hay fever. I'm still a bit rough around the edges, people. I was coughing all day yesterday, so I'm coming on with something for sure. Oh, the sun never sets on the Critter Empire, even though the moon just passed over. Alright, fine. Anyway, hello, people. Welcome. Good to see you all. I have some things to talk about. I have lots of things to talk about, as we know, and I already had lots of things to talk about before yesterday happened. But I'm gonna get into it because you guys will probably notice that the background is different. And you know what? It's not the only thing that's different. There is another background. That's right. She's got two of them now. So this is a new background. I also have another one. And there is a reason for that. As some of you who are obviously in the Discord chat will know, I ran into a bit of a situation yesterday that I am not happy about, and it's not a great time, and I'm going to talk about it, even though it's like a rant central when I talk about this, so I'm just going to be real. It's going to be one of those conversations, and when I say about this, I'm not going after anyone in particular. I try and be somewhat neutral with these things, which is really hard, but as someone who's from the creative industry, this is not something that I'm happy about, and it's very upsetting to me as someone in the creative industry. However, I do appreciate that there are some people in my chat that maybe don't have the same opinions of me, and that's fine. We're all entitled to our opinions, and that's fine. I'm not going after any of you. So if you do have disagreeing opinions, that's fine. But I ask that you please keep them to yourself in this situation, just because it's just not the place for it. And I'm not attacking you personally. If that's what you do with your free time, that's what you do with your free time. Fine. So, G Billy, your mom lets you have two backgrounds? Yeah. So, what's the big elephant in the room that is with the new background? So, right, where do I start with this? So, as you guys know, I recently got a new logo made, right? Still happy with the logo. This has nothing to do with the logo, but one of the things that was going to come with getting a new logo was that, and I've talked about this in the past, is that I was going to start maybe updating the streams to be a bit more branded to me personally. And so one of the things with that was getting a new logo. The next thing that was going to come after that was to maybe start updating the stream graphics and my like just branding in general, to make it a bit more Wuppletinger, a bit more Jasper, you know, the usual. So I started looking into getting some new assets and some new backgrounds. This is where this is going. So I personally purchase pretty much all my stream assets, majority off Etsy. That is where I prefer to go for them. It was just easier for me at the time to do it that way. It's still easier for me to do it now that way because I am a creature of habit, and Etsy is something I use somewhat regularly anyway. And having Etsy as something that I could access stream assets on was great for me because when I started VTubing, I was stuck. I had nowhere. VGen wasn't really a thing at the time, and you know there weren't many options for me, and I didn't know where to start. So Etsy was where I went with it. And we ran into this situation before, and that was that I purchased a lot of different backgrounds, many of which are credited in my description tab on Twitch. And most of the assets I've bought in my time have been fine. I've loved them. I love them all, right? Unfortunately, my original Just Chatting background was one of these things that took a lot of time for me to decide on. It was a choice between this one and another one. I decided to go with this one, not the one you see, the original one. I decided to go with that one because it was it fit more with the theme that I was going for, and I loved it, right? It was perfect. It was exactly what I wanted. And I very carefully at the time would read descriptions on things to make sure there was no AI generated art. This is where this conversation is going. So I was very diligent about checking the descriptions. At the time, I didn't check the sellers page, which is something I do now because we had an incident over Christmas where I bought some assets where the description did not say it was AI generated, but the artist's description on Etsy did kind of allude to the fact that it was made with, you know, when, if you don't know, they kind of go about it in a way that's a bit like, oh, we can't put AI in our tab because it gets blacklisted by people because people have filters and stuff, and I think that's how they get around it most of the time. And so the original Christmas backgrounds had this on there where it said like it was made with computer generative artwork, which means AI in other translations. And they try and get around it by being like, oh yeah, we got the art and then we edited it. And it's like, that can mean a lot of things. So for me, it's a big no-no. And I learned that over Christmas when I got my first ever Christmas streaming assets. And then I noticed in the background that something wasn't quite adding up. There were lines. I think there was a deer figure that didn't have a head. And I noticed very quickly that it was AI generated. So I had to get rid of it. I had to suffer with it for that Christmas period because at the time I didn't really have much money and I paid for it and I didn't really want to have to go back to the original background. It was a whole thing. But I finished Christmas season, got rid of it, pretty much deleted it, did not use it again, right? And we've got a different one now. And then, originally when I bought the original asset, so what I called season 1, which was the ones you were all very used to. So it's the moth background, it's the stars in the top, it's the whole thing, the stingers, all that, and the background was very much a part of that. And unfortunately, at the time, it didn't disclose, the seller didn't disclose that it was AI generated. I distinctly can tell you that the original description did not include that because I remember it. I would have remembered something like that because when I was searching for maybe updating themes yesterday, because I was just browsing, I was like casually browsing, right? And I came across my original ones and I clicked on the profile to see if I could see if the seller had made any new ones. And so I clicked on it and then I went to the description and I noticed there was a new bit that said that it was very clearly made with AI art and edited. I cannot tell you the immediate just it felt like a gut punch. And I know that's dramatic, but it just immediately like, fuck. I literally audibly said, fuck. I was like, fuck, no! I was really upset. It was just not what... I don't stand for AI art, right? We all know this. I made it very clear. I don't mean to go after people that do use it, because I know there are some people in my chat, and there are people in the future that might be seeing this VOD and be like, oh, what's the problem? I've made it quite clear my stance on AI art. I don't appreciate it. No matter how you use it, you've got to acknowledge the fact that that artwork is generating from an image that was likely stolen without the original artist's consent. And that's just how AI works. It's the truth of it. I don't care, right? We're not getting into debate. I'm not happy about it, is what's happened. And I am very angry. And I don't know if you can tell, but I'm really cross. Because I was misled. This is misleading, okay? I don't care how you want to look at it. It's misleading. It's a risk you take when you purchase stuff on websites like Etsy that didn't originally have content disclosure in their terms and conditions, which is why this was gonna miss. It looks like they've cracked down on it, and so sellers are starting to put in their descriptions if it is AI generated, and I think that's just what's happened. But it's still unfortunate because I paid for it and I've used it for the last 2 years, right? We're coming up to the 2-year anniversary. That means I've used that streaming asset for nearly 2 years. I'm abhorrently upset, right? I'm really upset about it because it's just the one thing. It feels like I feel like the biggest hypocrite on the planet, and it's not my fault, and I know it's not, but it's like I feel like the biggest hypocrite because while I'm sat here with the background on my screen talking about how much I hate AI art, I was like, it was just like behind me. It's like, was it AI art? It was always AI art, you know. It's like that meme where it's like the spaceman with the gun to the other one's head. Like, has it always been AI art? It always has, that kind of meme. I genuinely I can't believe. I just feel like the biggest hypocrite in the planet. It's like genuinely so upsetting because it's like I paid for it, right? That means that money's gone into a pocket of someone who's making artwork with other people's artwork. You know, it's basically just collaging, and I know collaging is fine, but it's like, you know, not when it's like stolen, you know. I'm just cross about it. I don't know. I think there was a part of me, I will be honest, I think there was a part of me a couple weeks ago where I was sat looking at the background and I distinctly remember going, something's not adding up there. And it kind of like, there was just this sort of thing, this nagging feeling in the back of my brain where I was like, oh God, like, what if this is AI? And I just haven't had the content disclosed to me, which is a thing that does happen where it's like, you know, I'm very aware of the fact that the risk you take when you buy stuff on Etsy is that they might just not be being very honest about how it was made. And that's just the risk with buying anything digital. But like realistically, at the time, it wasn't declared on the profile anywhere. So realistically, I would have had no idea. And that's just the reality of it. I'm not saying that I would never buy anything from artists that use AI generative, you know, properties. I can't state that willingly because I know some people do. As long as what I'm buying isn't AI art, that's where I stand on it. It's gross, okay? It's misleading because that artwork would have been stolen from someone originally. And it's just really viscerally upsetting is the fact that I feel like I knew. I feel like there was a part of me in the back of my brain where I was like, something's not right here. And I don't know what it was. And like once this kind of revelation happened, right? Once I found the Etsy page had been updated, and I like sort of sat and looked at the background, I was like, oh yeah, like the window pane, right? The window pane wasn't quite right, and one of the lamps was a bit off, and I think that's what tipped me off originally. It's like that light thing. It's like you have a whole life and you notice a lamp in the corner is slightly off. It's like that. I was like, something's not right here. I'm joking about it, but I was genuinely at the time. I have my family around, right? I had my kids around. I had to like. I immediately found out, right? And then I didn't know what to do. I panicked. I was scrambling, right? Announced it on Discord immediately. And then Paul came in and Paul was like, hey, the kids want to play a board game now. And so I had to go and be a parent. And it's just like, I'm just sat there trying to enjoy my time and not think about the fact that my entire brand has been basically built off AI generative art. And that's it upsets me. And it might be the autism side of it. I know some people are like, well, no, this is just a based opinion to have, but it's like, I think that just like genuinely like soul crushing feeling of it was just because like I have a righteous sense of justice and I have it quite badly, and I don't let on to it in streaming as much as I maybe would like to, but it's more just because you have to kind of take a neutral stance with this, and I know that sometimes I say opinions that might get me in trouble, and that's fine, but like realistically, guys, it's not like my fault, but it's like genuinely like one of those things where it's like you just don't want to, I'm rambling, but it's like you don't want this sort of shit to happen, and it makes you kind of, I had to go through every single one of my assets like purchase history and check because this shit had slipped through, right? And that's just not something that I had time to do at the time. And so I've been up quite a lot this morning trying to fix it, right? Long story short, background was AI generated, didn't know for the last 2 years, found out yesterday, and I've had to pretty much overhaul my entire branding, right? Not happy about it because I was going to update it anyway because I think there was a part of me that was like, okay, I'm not convinced this isn't AI. And I think that like there was a part of me that was like, okay, I think it might be just time to like start looking into new assets anyway and more customized ones. This isn't a custom background, by the way, I just want to stress that, but I was like, I think I need to start looking into it. And then I found out how much it's going to cost me to get custom assets. And I will still do it. It's just not really feasible at this time currently. I'm looking at spending at least £100 to £200, right? So, yeah, it's... So I had to rush, basically. I'm not, like, financially at the minute. Things aren't, like, you know, I've moved house, I'm living on my own for the first time. Finances are a bit tight. So when shit like this happens and you realize you've got two choices, you either leave it and just hope no one notices, or you change it. And I was like, I'm not standing with this. So I changed it. And fortunately, very fortunately, Mina and Mimi at some point, like a while ago, I think Mina talked to me about it, and Mimi mentioned it in my chat when I talked about this on Discord, was that VGen had some pre-available, like pre-made like assets you could buy. Like sellers are starting to make their own stuff and just selling it just as like a not a one-off, but like a pre-made, like you're not commissioning it, right? So that was an option I could go for, and VGen is AI free as far as I'm aware, so it was the other option. So I went with it. And so we've got this new background. We've also got another one. It is a static image, but I've purchased as well some like glittery like bits in the background just to make it look more alive. But the actual image behind me is just static. So that's unfortunate. But like the movable ones, there just wasn't any with the color palette I wanted. And this and the other one were the best ones I had. So yeah. Right, I'll check chat now. Oh, James redeemed drink dummy. I completely missed that. Thanks, James. I will drink to that. Right, Rat Satan said, we can't put AI in our tags because it gets filtered by people. That's the fucking point. I think that's why they're trying to get around it, though, is like by not putting it anywhere in their content. Because, like, something as well you'll notice is that artists that have genuinely drawn their stuff have to, like, go around it to say it's not AI without directly saying AI because it gets, you know, filtered, right? Which is the problem. And it's like, Etsy just doesn't seem to have any like content fucking declaration, like they don't have a tag or anything. So it's like if it's in your description, you run the risk of having it filtered by people, and I think that's what most real genuine people are trying to avoid, which makes like navigating this really hard. I know that I think it's Sun Emotions and San Arts Designs. They're my main two. Like most of my assets come from those two sellers, and I know they're not AI generated, or at least most of their stuff isn't. So they're the ones I go for. They're in the description, obviously. Like, what, are they going to start tagging porn sites as Christian friendly because it gets filtered by people? Yeah, right. Oh no, I can't sell my stolen art to the anti-stolen art store. Yeah, don't use AI. I like my oceans not boiled. Straight up, it's like there is just like loads of like issues with AI art in general, and we've talked about them many times on the channel, and I've fallen victim to it so often, and it's upsetting because as someone who like prides themselves on being like an artist, it's like you just kind of have to sit here and go, you just feel a bit disappointed in yourself because it's like a lot of people like, how do people fall for AI art? You kind of have to keep in mind, like, it depends on the art. Realistic images, it's a bit like it's getting harder. I've noticed it's getting harder, but like when it comes to like physical art, you can usually tell. But like I've fallen, it does happen, and sometimes that can just be due to the poor quality of the like seller's page and stuff. It can be to do with like maybe not like noticing things not lining up in the background. You know, sometimes it can be really hard to navigate like new stores as well. Not new stores that do original artwork. It's kind of hard to filter through as well because a lot of what I've noticed is a lot of Etsy sellers stuff, even though they've declared very clearly that it's all original artwork and they're not AI generated, their art, by the looks of it, has been stolen by AI generative platforms, right? And so their art has been put on things. You see those all the time. And so when you come across the actual like artist, it's a bit like you're like, oh, I know this like image. It's been on AI art. If that makes sense, I hope that makes sense. It's like you can kind of, it's kind of hard to tell, right? And I am not gonna sit here and be like, oh yeah, you can always tell. You can, and that's just like because I've fallen victim to it, and if I've fallen victim to it, you can fall victim to it. So just be aware of it, especially if you're like in the streaming space. Please, to my friends, if you make very clear stances on AI art, please, by my just my advice, please check your seller subscriptions and see if they've been updated because this has happened to me and it sucks. Because 2 years, you know, that's the problem. That's the thing that's hitting me the hardest is that I love that background and I've been using it for 2 years, right? To have it turn out to be AI art is just like, I just feel like the biggest hypocrite in the planet and it's just not my fault, but like, it just feels like my fault and it's like, you know, just upsetting. There's a difference between being against AIR and using it willingly and being against AIR and not knowing you're using it. Yeah, this is the point. Is like if I know it's AIR, I'm not gonna use it, you know? But like I think that it's just kind of hard to filter through a lot of the time. So it's just, you know, these things happen. And also the difference between asking for no AR and then being lied to and given AR. This is like something I want to stress as well. I was not lied to. Okay, I want to like make this very clear. I wasn't lied to as such. It's just they just missed that part of their description out originally when I purchased it. And that's the other thing is I've exchanged money for goods and services that I thought was genuine. I thought I was supporting an artist, you know. This background I chose over a different one that was made by a real artist because, and I purchased other stuff from the other artist, but like I decided to go with this one over another one because I liked how much more complex it was, but it cost more, you know? And it's just like, man, why? You know, I could have got the cheaper option and it would have been real, you know? And that's the bit that sucks. I was like, not like, I didn't see the problem in paying more for something that I liked, you know? And then it turns out that it's against everything I believe in. That's a horrible feeling, you know? Um, so I want to stress that I wasn't necessarily lied to, but I wasn't, you know, I was misled. We'll go with that, okay? It's a bit of a like gray zone, but it's like I don't want to say I was lied to because they didn't say in their description like no AIR. That wasn't the case. They just didn't say that it was. And that's something that I think you should approach with caution with any seller now. Is like if they don't expressively like state that it's not AI, be wary, you know. Oh, family board game night. That's so sweet. Crush those kids' hopes and dreams and Monopoly. Dude, we tried to play Monopoly and we just we got Animal Crossing Monopoly, and we thought it was going to be like regular Monopoly with like just like, you know, Animal Crossing themes. No, it was a completely different game made by Monopoly for Animal Crossing. So it wasn't like, there wasn't like houses, there wasn't plots, it was like counters, and it was so weird. So we didn't play that, but yeah. But I completely crushed the kid and Paul in a food and drinks quiz. You guys would be so proud of me. They got like, I think it was, the total was like 9, 14, and I got 31 cards, so I won by a landslide. Well, shit. Mimi mentioned it yesterday, and I might have. I can't remember if I mentioned this stuff. Yeah, Mimi definitely like was the one that kind of stated to be like, oh yeah, you can get like pre-made stuff on VGen, but I'm pretty sure Mina was the one that put me on to VGen, so that's that. I've never used VGen. I tend to use Fiverr just because I really struggle to navigate VGen for commissions. It's like a bit of a minefield, Jesus Christ. But like I have anxiety with like commissioning stuff anyway, because direct communication with people is not something that I find easy, especially strangers. So like commissioning stuff is really hard on my like mental health. So I tend to avoid commissioning, not because like I would like to commission stuff, but like it's just the issue of like I just get so stressed about asking for what I want and then telling someone when they've made something that isn't what I want, and it's just really hard. Like when my logo was made, it was completely different, the original draft, and I literally had to turn around to the person and say, hey, this is absolutely not what I asked for. I felt so bad. I just straight up report it like this image has been used by AI and they are using misleading language to advertise themselves and avoid tag filtration. Please look into it at your earliest convenience. This, yeah, I would say that, except that unfortunately they have quite clearly declared in their description now that it is AI. They've used the word AI. So like by me putting that, it might not necessarily go somewhere. However, when I purchased it, if I'd done that, then yes, it would have been pulled up. But I have a feeling that the reason they've had to put it in their description is because I'm probably not the only one that's fallen victim to this. So yeah. But yeah, no, it's like they're getting a lot more. They're having to put it now. I think that Etsy has cracked down on it, so I think that they're having to put it more. I'm not against reporting it. Unfortunately, I'm not gonna get my money back. That sucks, but like I don't really. It's gone. I paid for it like God knows how many years. Well, 2 years ago now. Yeah, it would have been 2 years ago, like now, because I set up for streaming a good month before I actually did stream. So yeah. It's been a long morning, guys. Do you know what? I had to rush, right? Because I had to basically like go through the entirety of VGen's pre-made stuff, which isn't very much because it's a pretty new thing. I had to go through the entire thing just to find ones that even like fit with my theme, and there aren't many. Because typically, and this isn't any shade to any artist, typically VTubers tend to go for the more light and airy themes, and I am not that. So finding stuff that fits with the like dark green and black aesthetic is pretty hard. So I really like raked through what they had, and I got a couple that I like. I just couldn't. I get decision fatigue. So can you? I'm sorry if I'm stuttering as well. I'm very overstimulated because my nose is like blocked. But what was I saying? Yeah, I like I had to choose between two of them and I couldn't. So I just bought both of them because realistically, like they weren't asking for much. I tipped them, and you know, the person who drew this background is not the same person that drew the other one, and I will show you guys the other one as well in a minute. But the this background, I was the first person to buy anything off this person, or at least I was the first person to buy this asset. So shout out to you. Oh god, I can't remember the name off the top of my head. It's in my description, but this is the outside theme because I have an inside one as well. Because I got this one even though it's not really outside season here in the UK anymore. But never mind. If they didn't lie, but you asked for no AI and still got AI art, then they are misleading. That is also punishable, or at least a dick move. Right. I did not ask to not have AI, right? I don't have content filters, right? Because I don't know how to set them up. So, and also because at the time I bought it, it wouldn't have been something on my mind, right? And also at the time, content declaration wasn't a thing. Like, I don't even think it had come into place on YouTube yet. So, or on any social media for that matter, like content declaration for AI generative art was just not a thing at the time. Yeah, so it wouldn't have been something I asked distinctly for. But this is kind of pushing me to the kind of Etsy. This is a call out to Etsy. Fix your fucking declaration system, please. I beg. This is hugely depressing, you know, to be in this situation where you've literally had to like scrap everything in a matter of 2 hours, right? I set this all up in 2 hours. It's just distressing because I didn't ask for this, right? I didn't ask not for this, but like, you know, I just ugh. This is the right sense of justice coming in. Breathe, Jasper. Jeez. Hi, Just Beaches. I'm just reading through chat, so if I'm slow replying, that's why. But yeah, no, it is a dick move, but it's not punishable because just because they didn't declare it at the time, it wasn't a thing at the time, so I can't really, like, yeah. Lie by omission is still a lie. True, okay? I'm just not looking at it like that. It's like if you were allergic to nuts and you were like, hey, I'm allergic to nuts, and they're like, okay, and then they give you almond milk. Like, yeah, that's not a nut per se, but it's still fucking nut. This is a good way of looking at it, actually. Like, it's breach. I can't. Fucking my nose is so blocked. Yeah, this is the thing. Except the difference is that one of those will actually kill me, and one of those, like, this situation is just gonna make me viscerally upset for a few days. I'm just angry. I'm really angry. I'm so fucking mad, dude. I am just genuinely like, I'm sat here like sick as a shit, alright? I'm just like not having a good day. I just want to cry. And my kids don't think I'm cool. I'll let Paul explain that because he's like waiting to come onto the stream to say about that, but yeah. Yeah, no, I'm not happy. I'm just glad I didn't buy the full package because I just bought the background. I was originally going to buy the full package. I just thought that it kind of like overwhelmed the stream a bit, and then I didn't get it, so I just got the background, and it was great. But it's like, geez, I could have spent a lot more money on AIR and not realized. I should have known, dude. I should have known. I should have known. Eh. Oh well, now you know to do it. Yeah, I think that from now on in, I need to kind of. I think that Etsy needs to like up their game with content declaration. Like most websites now have like its own tag system separate for AIR, as in it like usually has some sort of like physical notification if it's AIR. Etsy hasn't done that. Mostly because I don't think Etsy will, because I think Etsy is trying to move away from like the non-physical made products anymore, which is a bit of a wild move, and I don't think it's going to go anywhere. This is just something I've been told, but I don't think that they're really going to bother with it because I think like long term they're not looking at shit like that. But it's just like Etsy, pull your shit together, like seriously, because this is the like how many times has this happened to me? I bought 2 assets originally that were AIR. They were from the same seller though, so technically it's happened 3 times now, but like only 3 different assets. But like it's realistically only happened twice. But it's like, geez, like I'm not happy, and I can't do anything about it either. Like, usually with like Steam, you can usually refund the item and say like you didn't realize it was AI generated, but they now have like I said, they have a separate declaration in it now, which I think is great. Good on Steam. I have a rant to talk about Steam in a minute, but we're still talking about this. But yeah, no, it was like genuinely like just upsetting. Yeah. Hi, what's up? Just the rant of the century, you know, the usual. The usual Jasper stream. She's got something bad to talk about, dude. Why do people watch me? I'm genuinely so depressive. I can't. I mean, if you were a massive VTuber, then it would potentially deal a blow to your career. So, yeah, this is another thing. I'm a small creator that kind of just goes on tangents and rants, and one of those rants that I seem to come back to reoccurringly is like AI art, right? Because it's something that's in my sort of circle of existence, in that I'm an artist, like a genuine artist, and like it's shit like this. It's like it's upsetting. I mean, I have different opinions on art, and we can talk about that another time. But it's like, to me, it's just like it's just lazy. Sorry, I'm sorry to anyone that in my chat that does make AI art. That's up to you. Please don't share it on my Discord. That's all I ask. But it's like you can don't give up if you're like using AI art as a crutch to like learn to like draw. Please like step away from that and try, because you might surprise yourself, and if it doesn't work, try something else and then come back to what you really want to do, because these things happen. Like, I've talked about it several times. Like, I I used to attempt to draw more anime manga style, and I did not succeed with it. I was really horribly shit at it. And then I went to art college, and I kind of had to more, well, no, I went to secondary school and I had to focus more on surrealism, which I hate, and that's a whole rant, but like I had to focus more on surrealism as an art form, because that's all they care about when you're in like GCSE art. But then that kind of meant that I got to focus more on realism, or graphic realism, which is something I specialize in, right? I draw like hyper realistic like stuff with like pencils, right? That's what I specialize in. So that's what I used to do. And then I stopped doing the manga art for several years to pursue realism, because I wanted to become a tattoo artist, and that was something that I was going to go into specializing. Why? Net redeem drink. Don't you think, you know, I would drink to that. So I started doing that, and I focused on that, and then I went to art college, and then I had to sort of go. They didn't appreciate realism, so I had to sort of go back to the manga art, because I specialize in illustration now. So I have GCSEs in um, realism art. Well, it's just a generic thing, but the thing that I specialized in when doing that course was realism. And then when I did art college, it was manga art and stuff. Because when I went to art college, they were like, "Don't do this shit." And I was like, "God damn it!" So then I had to go on to the manga art because my professor wouldn't leave me alone about it. That sucks. That's a whole rant. I can't talk about it too much because it kind of gives away my location, or at least where I was at the time. So yeah, but like it's, you know, don't give up if you want to like learn to draw, because I get so many people say to me like over the years like, "Oh, I can't even draw a stick figure." It's like, so draw stick figures. You know, it's like if you could do it, do it, and then build on that. That's what I'm trying to say, is like, if you're struggling with art, just build on what you can already do, okay? And then experiment. Always experiment. Art is a creative thing, right? Art is creative. If you want to learn to draw or paint or do any of that, just try something else for a while, a different medium, a different style. Just do something else if you're struggling with what you do, because if you focus, it's the thing I get annoyed about when people are like, "Oh, it's practice, practice, practice." It's, you're not gonna develop skills and learn techniques from doing the same thing over and over again. You can, but it'll take a lot longer and it won't be fun. And you'll be so sick of it by the end of it. So try something else for a bit and then go back to what you were originally doing. Because I learned shading for manga art from doing realism. There you go. But yeah, no, it could have been a deal blow for my career, but like realistically, like I think even if I was a bigger VTuber, if I was a big streamer, I think it would be pretty easy to turn around and just be like, I didn't know. And if you want to turn around and say that, how could I not know? You know, sorry, don't come to my community. I'm very nonchalant about it. It's like, I don't think that we should blame people for falling for this stuff because part of the point of it is so you fall for it, right? It's supposed to look realistic. It's supposed to look convincing. People are going to fall for it. Reality of it. If this was several years ago, then yes, you could have said that, but it wasn't. Anyway. No one's kids think their parents are cool. It's your job to embarrass them with your uncoolness. Dude, I embarrass my kids all the time. I constantly go up to them and I'm like, hey, look at this. And they're like, you're so uncool. But like, they're also like, not teenagers yet, but almost teenagers. So it's like, they're at that age where like everything's uncool. Never mind. We had a great time. It was a good time. But yeah, no, I'm apparently really uncool now. I should have known. I should have known, dude. These thoughts are pointless now, Jasper. Don't need to concern yourself with what ifs. What if the queen had some nuts? Will she be the king? But she's not. There's no reason to concern yourself. Shit happens. Now you know better. Don't forget your lesson. Yeah, but this is the problem. Is I can't even say that this taught me a lesson because like this is the second time it's happened. It's like it's genuinely. I think it's gonna pretty much put a like stop in me going on Etsy for digital content. Like I'm gonna stick with the artists that I know create like hand-drawn stuff, and if they like put in their description very clearly that it's hand-drawn, because then if it turns out to be AI, I can then sue. But but like realistically, like I can't even say that I learned anything because yeah, I'll learn something, but I'm fighting to learn against a computer that's constantly evolving, you know, not a specific computer, it's a program, it's several different versions of it, right? I'm constantly going to be fighting against that forever, you know? It's just not worth it. I've got so many opinions on AI art because I think that it's a waste of resources. Why are we spending so much time and energy trying to fight real artists for the right to steal their artwork, right? When that platform, if we put that energy into creating an AI that's actually useful, like the O2 granny, I don't know if anyone else knows about that, but they made a AI grandma, or it sounds like a grandma, to like get calls from spam callers and waste their time so that they stay on the phone, right? So they're not calling up and scamming like real old people, right? Why don't we put the energy that we're putting into making AI art good into like actually making useful AI art or AI platforms? Just a thought. You're wasting your time. Get fucked. But yeah, no, like, yeah. I can draw better on my phone than some AI artists draw. Dude, they're not drawing. They're just putting some words into a computer. That's not drawing. I'm sorry. Like, PewDiePie did a thing. He drew manga once a day for a month and then stated that he drew worse than a 12-year-old starting to draw manga. Yeah. You can do that. But again, it's the thing of like, as someone who's done art my entire life, you get bored of doing the same thing over and over again. And it's like, I don't want people to get discouraged by continuously doing the same thing. Another thing is, it's also really hard, and I could say this because I do this, like, this is something I specialize in, okay? So I feel like I have a bit of authority in this situation, but it's like, people, you when you're an artist, it can be really hard to see you're getting better at something when you're doing the same thing over and over again. It's like if you watch how do I word this? If you watch the rain fall for like several hours, you might not like notice how much the water's rising, if that makes sense, or the tide coming in, like because you're standing there watching it gradually, right? You're not going to notice that, like, oh, it was like further out an hour ago, right? You're just going to be like, oh, it's there. It's really hard to notice that you've progressed in something when you're looking at the same stuff over and over again. So my recommendation is always to like do it for a while, and if you feel like you're not improving, step away from it and then come back to it, because you might actually surprise yourself with how much you progressed in it. And then when you actually like, if you do something else similar and then you come back to it, you're gonna be a lot better than you were when you did that piece like 7 months ago, right? This is what I'm trying to say, is that you need to like give yourself a break. Breaks are important, right? We've been there. So it's healthy to kind of like, all artists critique themselves, right? Any good artist will sit here and say that they think their work's shit. There's always a part of us that's always going to think we could have done something better, right? So if you're struggling with something, you might not be struggling as much as you think you are. So step away from it and give yourself like, touch grass, you know, like touch grass, notice the sky is as blue as it is, right? And then go back and, you know, draw the sky, hypothetically. I hope people understand what I'm trying to put down here. But yeah, no, you can do it, like the like just drilling it into yourself. That does work, but it's like you're gonna get bored of it, and it's easier to enjoy something when you kind of do it a different way. You know, I used to have I used to have a social media where I would post all my artwork, right? And I was so hyper focused on getting good artwork out. I didn't really care about the quality. I was just getting things out for likes and stuff. I didn't care about it. And everything I drew had to go on this like Instagram, right? And after a while, I was like, I'm not enjoying what I'm making, and I don't think what I'm making is any good. And then I'd look back and I'd be like, no, I'm not happy with it. So what I did was I stopped doing that. And then I started actually like drawing the things I wanted to. And then once I sort of started going a bit slower at it, I let myself breathe. And I became so slow that I don't think that I could go back and do the things that I used to draw, which is not a bad thing. So I haven't touched graphic realism in probably like good 2-3 years now. Yeah, probably like 3 years. I just don't have the mental capacity for it. I would go back to it, but I just don't think it's something that I'm really interested in looking at now, and that's fine. I know it's something I'll go back to eventually. I always do, but it's like, you know, you just kind of gotta breathe occasionally. So I embarrass my kids all the time. Look who's more comfy with being a mama bird. Listen, I call them my hatchlings now. You guys have like imprinted this idea on me. Like, Paul and I were talking last night, and I was like, I love our kids. I just straight out said to him, they were in bed. I was like, I love our kids. And he's like, really? I was like, yeah. I was like, they're like I do think of them as my hatch. Can you hear how sick I am, dude? I was like, they straight up, like, I do think of them as my hatchlings, and I do love them all dearly for different reasons. One of them is starting to drive me nuts, but, like, I think he's just at that age. But it's like, I love our kids, right? And I do think of them as our kids. When I first got with Paul, I hadn't met the kids, and he'd already started referring to them as our kids. I would like to stress as well, this isn't any discredit to their mother. I will not be talking about our family situation or our family dynamic on stream. That is personal. But they have a mum, and they mostly live with the mum full time because we work nights, so we can't have them. But they're like one of the things that. Can I talk about this? I'm gonna talk about this because I think it's really sad, and I think it would be good advice for like people who maybe are parents or will be parents and maybe would struggle to connect with their kids. Kids need attention. They don't oftentimes care how they get it, and that's you know, one of those things. I'm not an expert in this, by the way. I've literally only been a parent for like nearly 2 years now, right? But like, kids need like, they need stimuli, right? They need like entertainment. And a lot of the time, parents miss like when their kids are saying like they want to show something. When they're trying to connect, it might not necessarily come off as connection, especially if they're on the neurodivergency spectrum, which we suspect that our kids are. So trying to seek connection is sometimes misinterpreted. And if you're an overwhelmed parent because you've got more than one kid, right, you're going to miss that more. So one of the things that I said to Paul when we first got together was that I am going to be a fun parent. And I'm going to, when they ask to play games, if they ask me to toss frisbee with them, I'm going to fucking do it. And if I can't do it right in that second, I'm going to find time to do it, you know? And that was just like the one thing that I stuck with this entire time. I'm not being very good with it recently because I've been like hugely burnt out. So like being around children, like constantly grabbing your attention isn't just not something I can do. And that's fine. You can take a break. I get the luxury of taking a break because they're not my kids directly. But I make time for them now, and it's like I promised him that I would make time for them because something that he said was really sad is that he was constantly the one that had to entertain. You know, he's the one who had to sit down and play the board games. He's the one who had to look at the artwork that they drew. He's the one that had to sit with them and draw, you know. And that's fine. But like, you know, they want attention from more than just dad. So when I came into the picture, it was a lot easier for them to sort of connect to me because they were very like standoffish when we first met, and that's fine. That's to be expected. I'm a stranger like coming into like their environment essentially. I'm new, you know? And so I made myself fun. I made myself approachable. And I'm not an approachable person. But like I made time, and I made it very clear to them that if they want me to kick a ball around with them, I will find time to do it. So yeah. Gotta find time. But yeah, that's but it's like I'm getting to connect with them more. Like the middle one was playing games with Paul and I last night, and it was magical. It was magical. Like he was having a great time. Like we played Chameleon, and then we did a food and drinks quiz. It was a great time, right? And it was really fun. And I know that he went to bed happy, you know, and it makes it, you know, okay for them to like connect with me. Um, yeah. I mean, hey, now you'll be even more paranoid about it. So yeah. Also, Jasper's never uncool. I am very uncool. The kids say otherwise. This is true, right? They are like, I think I'm cool up on chat. They're like, Paul's gonna be so mad because I've talked about this without him, but like they genuinely like there is nothing more humbling than trying to show your kids something to impress them, and they're like, "That's not that cool." There is nothing more humbling than that, people. I'm telling you now. I've had it. I've been called uncool, dude. Wait till they start calling me a fucking boomer. I will actually cry. I think it's depressing as well. Not that I want to like give away ages or anything. I think as another thing is that to them I am an adult, like regardless. Like as far as they're concerned, I'm the same age as their dad in their eyes. But it's like I don't really know how to get it off. Get the. I'm saying getting it off to them, but not like that. Like there must be another way to word that that doesn't sound weird. Get the idea in get the idea into their heads, right? That I'm closer in age to them than I am their dad. Which is just the reality of being in an age gap relationship, right? It is the truth of it. It's the not fun part of being in an age gap relationship is that if the kids are at an age where they can contextualize that, it's not a fun realization, right? Fortunately, they're not, but like, there is an older one, right? And I think he is very aware of the fact that he's closer in age to me than I am to his dad. And, you know, it's one of those things that I don't want to sit here and like sugarcoat it. It is really kind of, it's not a fun thing to have in the back of your head. I don't really care because I will always date older men. I think I made it very clear to you guys. I'm into dads, right? There is a lot of benefits that comes with dating an older person, and one of those things being that I'm not capable of looking after myself. You know, we've talked about the autism side of things, but it's like easier for me to like have someone that is very much going to be a lot maturer than I am. And dating people my age when you're 24 is not easy. So, yeah. You kind of need some people in your life who aren't into the same things as you are. In terms of like dating older, because Paul's into the same things as I am, if that's what you're referring to. But I have other parent friends, like other friends that are parents, and they are completely like, it's chalk and cheese, right, in our interests. I can't honestly say. I think this is another thing is that that would work with a neurotypical person. I am not neurotypical. So to me, it's like if someone doesn't share an interest in me, it's really hard for me to connect to that person. And oftentimes I just don't. And realistically, if I don't have something to talk about with someone, I just don't. Which is an interesting situation that happens, because oftentimes if they talk about something that I'm not interested in, I have been known to walk away mid-conversation. Not one of my proud moments. Dude, when you realize you're autistic, you look back on your entire life and you're like, damn. If I'd known then what I know now, I wouldn't have said those things. Jeez. I just think sometimes about like the like progression of me learning how to like be friends with people, because I tend to like change myself to like I change my personality to fit with people that I want to impress. And I can honestly say that's not the case with Paul. But it has been the case with other relationships, and also it has been a case in my genuine friendships that I'm not a part of anymore. And yeah, you say some things in those situations, and you just kind of sit there and go, man, I don't agree with what just came out of my mouth, but I said it anyway. And then everyone else is like, oh yeah, nice. And it's like, I don't care about this subject. I don't, but I know that I can't talk about the things that interest me because they would be put off by it. So you can ease into it though. If you genuinely like, if you can get in there with people, you can quite easily like sort of segue the conversation occasionally into your interests, and then they kind of get curious about it. What I've learned with people is the easiest, I've got a really good way of like befriending people, is when you're if you're interacting with someone who has like a very specific interest that is not like anything you're interested in, just ask them about it. That's what I've learned. You don't have to care about it. They won't notice if you don't care about it. If you ask them like, hey, tell me about your like history buffness, or like tell me about this specific event in history, because I have no idea about it, but you talk about it an awful lot, so I know it must mean a lot to you. If you say that to people, they will unload, right, and talk about their interest nonstop. It's great, because then they do all the talking and you kind of just have to sit and listen. And if you can nitpick certain like individual facts about it to refer to later, then you have something to talk about in the future. That's my like plan. It's worked. It's pretty like, it's not foolproof, but it works. So By the way, for anyone that's friends with me right now, I don't do this anymore because I actually seem to have made friends with people like that have similar interests with me, and so I don't need to do that. But like, in the past, I've done that massively. Listen, if I've never talked about history as an interest, I'm not interested in it. I'm sorry. Or like, if I've talked to you about football or sports in general, I care because you care, but I don't care. If that makes sense. Like, I care that you care, but I don't care about the subject. Like, I care about you as a person enough to pretend like I care and hold that pretend game going for as long as we're friends. It sounds so disingenuous, and it's not a great feeling to have on your conscience, but I sort of try and convince myself that I'm doing the right thing because realistically, like, people want to talk about their interests and you're giving them a gateway into it because they might also not get to talk about that interest very often with people. And that's what I've learned. Like, I'm using specifically an example of like a friend from that group that I got kicked out of like earlier this year. Not for any of this. If you're new, my ex-boyfriend's new girlfriend decided that I was a problem when I literally had exchanged like maybe 5 words with her, and I was completely isolated from my group of friends, and I have not seen or talked to pretty much the majority of them since. And that was a whole drama. I'm not going to go into it, but one of the people in that group was someone that I knew had a very, 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 very strong interest in sort of history, specifically the World War sort of communism. Sorry if that's a trigger word on Twitch. Please don't come for me. I'm just talking about an example. Very much that time period, right? And I had not even a clue about any of that. So I asked them. I was like, hey, I don't have any knowledge about this, so can you actually like tell me what interests you about this subject? And they did. And then we talked about it continuously after that. And I would take things from that conversation, find a way to ask a question to do with that, and it meant we got close. And it was nice because then they in turn also turned around and started asking me about my very specific interests, like my body modification interest. It was great. So, advice. Advices with Jasper. That's what this should be titled. Advices with Jasper. How to make friends and not alienate people. That's a film. That's a terrible film, by the way. I know it's got Simon Pegg in it. Not that film. The film's called How to Lose Friends and Alienate People. Bruh. I was like so up for that film because Simon Pegg is the GOAT and, you know, one of my special interests. Don't watch that movie if you have any like good opinions on trans issues because that film was viscerally upsetting. I know it was tongue in cheek, but it's like we live in a time when that's not appropriate. I was not happy about it. I don't like it when like it's a righteous sense of justice. God damn it, I'm not talking about this. Kids in the future. Wait, you're not like 50 or 40 like dad. Dad's 48. But yeah, Jasper, no kids. What the fuck? No. Yeah, straight up. I don't think they can like work. They're like not very the younger two, right? He has 3 kids, okay? The younger 2 are of an age where they're in school and the highest year in their school is going to be seen as like adults to them. Like, as far as they're concerned, anyone like a year older than them can drink and smoke whenever they want. You know, it's that sort of like child mentality. And the oldest one, unfortunately, is in the year where there isn't anything past that, right? So to him, it's going to be it's going to hit home more that I'm the age I am and dad's the age he is and what that means. But there's nothing wrong with age gap relationships. I would like to stress that. Actually, no, take that back. There is a problem with age gap relationships. However, as long as you're above the consenting age, there is no problem with an age gap relationship. I would like to stress that before I get into trouble. please only date people if you're over the age of 18. You don't need to date before that. Take it from me. Don't date before the age of 18, people. Please don't. I don't recommend it. It's not fun. You will end up dating someone your own age, and that's not... Well, in my experience, it wasn't the best. But, like, also just, like, you don't have to stick with your age group, okay? But, like, if you're not gonna stick with your age group, please make sure you're over the age of 18. I would like to stress as well, Paul is not the oldest I've dated. I've dated 2 older men. The last one was, I think, 55 when I got with him. And I was 20... I wasn't very old. I would have been 20... Wait, how old am I? 24. Would have been 22. 21, 22 is when I met him. No, I broke up with him when I was 22. So I would have been about 21 when I got with him. Which don't come for me. Like, I was consenting age. I don't regret my decision. That's where we're leaving it. Fine. But, like, I'm obviously, like, able to... I don't know. I'm old enough to make that decision for myself. And I don't think I will ever regret dating older. I think it was the best decision for me personally. It might not be for you. And I know some people, like, find it really triggering, and I really apologize if me talking about this is really triggering for you. Please, like acknowledge that. But, like, I'm okay. I am fine. I'm happy. Really happy. It's also nice because I find older men tend to, like, have, like, their life kind of set out for them. Like, they know what they want. They're at that age where they're like, you know, quiet life is good for you. You know, I specifically didn't want to date someone that wanted kids still or did want kids ever. Because I learned that lesson the hard way. And I also didn't want to date someone that didn't ever plan to get married. Those are my 2 things, right? Also, wanted someone that I could talk about trans issues with, and they would be based about it and not uncool, because I've also dated people that are complete transphobes and homophobes, and it has not ended well. I would quite happily hit anyone that thinks that trans people shouldn't have rights, and if you think that, you can get the fuck out of my community, and that's all I'm gonna say on that. People should have rights. Everyone deserves rights, okay? Everyone deserves rights. And if you think otherwise, get out. Sorry, I'm not really reading shit. Are they too old for Peppa Pig? No one's too old for Peppa Pig. Goddamn. My siblings got Lyme, 12 kids altogether. Hey? 12 kids altogether, so to them... Oh, my siblings got, like, 12 kids altogether, so to them, I'm the cool uncle as I'm the only gamer of the family. Dude, I thought that I would be the cool, like... I thought that I would be cool auntie figure, right, to these kids, because I'm a gamer, I'm, like, I have played the games that they're interested in, I play board games, I can kick a football around. I thought I would be the fun aunt, right? I'm the one that's going to be, like, providing them alcohol when they start going to parties when they're 18, not before, because we've all been there. I'm going to be that, like, person, right? I'm going to be the cool aunt. And no, they look at me as their stepmom, and they think I'm the uncoolest thing in the world. They don't give a shit that I play video games. They don't give a shit, bruh. God damn. I'm gonna talk about it because, like, I don't think Paul's gonna have time to come in and say about what happened. But basically, yesterday, the reason I'm talking about being uncool is because yesterday the kids were around and I was talking to the youngest about, well, he was talking about Fortnite because, you know, that's all kids care about these days. And then we were talking about Minecraft. And he asked me, oh, like, what would you have, because I used to play Fortnite when it first came out. come for me, okay? I don't play it anymore. Don't even have like Epic installed on my computer anymore. And but I used to play it when it first came out because it was like popping off, right? And so I said to him about it, and he's like, "What did you play on?" And I was like, "On a PC." And he's like, "Oh, okay. I play on my Switch. Do you have a PC?" And I was like, "Have you not been in my office?" And he's like, "No." Keep in mind, the way the house is laid out, the kids do not go... The furthest room they go in the house is their bedroom. And then there's, like, opposite their bedroom is the landing. And then you go down the landing, and then my office is there. And then you go up the stairs and... Well, you come out onto the landing again and go up the stairs, and that's the bedroom and bathroom upstairs. They don't go past that, like, threshold. They go into the living room, into the kitchen, up the stairs, bedroom on the right. So like they're not they wouldn't go in the office and they wouldn't pass the office normally, right? So they had no idea I had like a full like streaming setup in here. And so I was like, he's like, "Do you have like, so what did you play on?" And I was like, "PC." And he's like, "Do you have a PC?" And I was like, "Yeah, you've not been in my office." And I showed him, and I showed the older one, and I was like, "Cool, right? I've got two monitors." I've only got two monitors. I was like, "I've got two monitors." And it's like, they're like, "Oh yeah, it's a proper gaming setup." I was like, "Yeah, I got the two monitors, I got the mic." And they're like, "That's not that impressive." Straight up just was like, "That's not that impressive." And I straight up responding like, "Oh, cheers, mate." And Paul killed himself laughing, like straight up, just like he would not let me live it down for the whole evening. It's just nothing more humbling than your kids being like, "That's not that impressive." And then they straight up started comparing. They're like, "Oh, all our teachers have two monitors." And I'm like, "Right, okay." Sure, okay, that's what that's about. And they're like, "Oh yeah, my 10-year-old friend has like..." None of them are 10, by the way, but my 10-year-old friend has like 3 monitors. And I was like, "God damn." And I was like, "You're not that cool, Jess." But I was like, "Shut the fuck up." I was like, "God damn it, I will never live this down." So that's what this conversation is alluding to, by the way. Yeah, no, they're not. I don't think anyone's too old for Peppa Pig, but like I think they're more into like Adventure Time and Gravity Falls and Pokemon. That's sort of the age group they're in. Minecraft and Fortnite. I don't think Fortnite really applies to a specific age group, but like Gravity Falls, you know, Adventure Time. I don't think what else they're into. That sort of age group. Scooby Doo is a big part of the household, so yeah. Um, as a fellow rewired brain, it's basically like being an alien in human society. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing or how I should act, but I see people acting a certain way, so I guess that's the right response. Except that I thought that was the right response, but what I ended up turning around to was that wasn't actually how people enjoyed conversations, and so I just do exactly what I know would make people happiest. And it's very much like movie, like, "How are you today?" "I'm good." "Oh, I saw this thing that I think would interest you." "Oh, yeah, that does interest me." "Oh, cool. Do you want to tell me more about it?" I was very much like, it's the people pleaser conversation. I'm not like trying to like start fights or anything. So it's like, if I think the way I talk to someone is going to cause a negative reaction, I just won't do it. Regardless of if I'm like defensive about something, I try to avoid confrontation. So if like I'm just gonna ask someone what they enjoy to talk about and try and keep them talking about what they enjoy talking about, just because I can see it will make them happy. And that's good. That's how I look at it. Hey Jasper, let me unload 1, 2, 7, 4, 7, 3 hours of Warhammer lore on you and ignore pleas of mercy. Okay, if you want. Jasper puts on clown makeup. We live in a society. Bruh, no. No, save Jasper. No. God damn. Jasper, the ring clear, the fruity, the sweeter the flavor. Wax lol. No. Dude, oh no, I can't say that. I've had it all, right? I've had it all. People are like, oh, so the thing I've had, like, mainly people say is like, obviously the first thing that people say is like, oh, you date older. So, like, is it like a life insurance thing? I'm the breadwinner of this household, and Paul and I are the same wage. He's got 3 kids. You know, that money goes immediately, right? Me, I'm like living the lap of luxury. Not really. I've got like not even like enough to make it through the month this month, but um what was I saying? Yeah, no, like, so I've had people be like, is it the gold digger thing? And it's like, not really, because like I've not dated anyone. I've never dated anyone that has any money. Like, I don't know why. I just don't. um it's just not something that really has ever happened. It's not even that I'm trying to avoid it, it's just not something that has happened. So I've had that conversation. I've also had people make some lewd comments as like, oh, is it like Jasper likes it when their like testicles, I'm so sorry. Jasper likes it when their testicles are like dragging on the floor. And my response is not safe for work in response. I don't know if I can say it. Listen, there's a certain level of pleasure when like something's hanging low, you know, and swinging to and fro. That's where I'll go with that conversation. But I've had that. I've also just like I've had a lot of different ones. The main reason I started dating older was I always am like, oh, I got sick of dating boys. That wasn't it. It was like mainly because I got sick of dating people that had aspirations, and that sounds really shallow to say out loud. But the reality is that when in my experience, I want the old person life, right? I want to like settle down, not have a family, you know. I just want to like sit at my computer and play games and stream for the rest of my life, right? That's all I want. I want the quiet life, okay? And when you date younger men, especially younger men that maybe don't come from wealthy backgrounds, tend to want to like see the world. And that's a fine aspiration to have. It's just not going to fit with my lifestyle choices. And what makes that worse is when they expect you to go with them, and I'm like, absolutely not. I don't even want to step out my front door to go to shops, let alone go to another country where I don't speak the language. Not that I'm against traveling or anything. I would quite happily travel for like conventions and stuff, but the problem is like I really struggle with communication as is, and going to a country where I don't speak the language is really stressful, and I've done it several times. It's not something I enjoy doing. It's fine if you want to do that, but it's like it sounds really bad. It's like I don't want to date people that have aspirations. It's not because they have aspirations. I want people to have aspirations. I just, if they're not aspirations that align with my lifestyle, then I don't see the point in continuing a relationship. And it sounds so shallow, and I'd be called shallow for it. And it's like, I think it might just be the autism side of it, where I need a caretaker essentially, right? Getting someone that's always gone traveling is not really going to work with that. And then also, I don't think many young people really want to spend the rest of their life like looking after someone, and that's fine. That's a fine thing to not want. It's just that's not going to help me, and you know, there's no point continuing a relationship. I will quite happily end a relationship on the spot if someone turned around and said, "I'm not compromising on having kids," and I have done. I have ended like relationships. I've only dated like 4 people, but like I've ended a relationship before because they turned around and was like, I'm not compromising on having kids, and I was like, okay, I'm not compromising on not having kids, so I think it might just be best if we end this here. And it did not end well. They did not appreciate that. But I was like, I'm saving you time. It's like, that's how I literally said it. I was like, listen, I'm just trying to save you time and energy. Like, you're gonna sit and like have, you know, you're gonna be spending life with me hoping that I change my mind one day. And I would be spending my life hoping that you would change your mind. And it's just not gonna happen. So I think it would be better if we just call it there. And I think that it's a healthy way of doing it, but maybe not for the other person. And I do feel guilty about that, but it's just easier. Like, it's easier for me. But all I really aspire for is to own a house, have pets, and get married. anything else is optional except having kids. I don't want to have my own kids. And that's another benefit that comes with dating older is typically if men haven't had kids by the time they're 40, they don't want them, usually, in my experience. But in my experience as well, is it's fine dating someone with kids. I dated someone, the other older gentleman that I dated also had a kid. Didn't want anything to do with me, and that's fine. But like, he didn't want kids. He didn't want kids in the first place, but he ended up with a kid, and he loved his kid. But he also like that's why that relationship went so well, because we were both very knowledgeable about the fact that neither one of us wanted kids, but I was compromising on marriage for that relationship. He did not want to get married, and I really did, and I didn't think it was really working out long term. And there was some other sides. There was other parts of why the relationship broke down in the end, but I got with Paul, and I made it very clear to Paul that he wouldn't get any more kids out of me, and I would expect to get married after so many years. And he's like, that's fine. So that's where we're at with it. Net redeem drink dummy, thank you. No, I will drink to that. Welcome, Saber Sensei. Ew, kids. Yeah, no, sorry if this is triggering or anything. You bring this up every 2 streams or so. I think those that got triggered would probably leave by now. I would hope so, but also I really worry I put people off. No worries, I still love you, precious Christian. I really am sorry that I will continue. I did put it in my description as well. I do continuously talk about uncomfortable topics, and maybe I trauma dump a bit too much. It's not intentional. I'm not seeking validation by doing it. I'm just ranting. And that's just the most of my streams, is just a lot of ranting, you know? It's a lot of me just ranting and talking. I think it's good in a way because it means I get to connect with you guys and you guys can share your experiences and we can discuss that. And that's why I thrive on these conversations we have on stream. It's like great because this is what I wanted. It's like a connected community where we can talk about these things. Yeah. It's great. Can't breathe. Too bad you're now the uncool gamer mom. No! I'm cool! I'm cool! I swear I'm cool. Why for some reason now in my head Jasper is together with Paul Artatrees from June. I don't know who that is. I don't know. Maybe I'll look it up. Tell you if it's a reasonable likeness. No. Not even a little bit. Not even a little bit. Not even a little bit. No. Paul doesn't look anything like Timothy Chalamet or any description of him. Sorry. Paul looks like... If you gave an audio description of what Simon Pegg looks like, it looks like Paul. Fork Knife has Power Rangers. Yeah, I know. It also has One Punch Man, and the youngest was telling me all about it yesterday. Our comments right now are time capsules. Jasper will get to them in like 13 days, so let's say something nice. Hello, precious. Dude, it's not a just chatting stream without like me talking about this. I'm also sorry to anyone that came for like Portal content. I probably won't play Portal today. I think that we're kind of getting into the danger zone of I think I've been talking for too long, and if I'm gonna like do it, then it would have to be now, and I'm not going to. So sorry, but also kind of just wanted to talk about what happened. So there's that. Wifey got accused of being a gold digger. She's been the breadwinner for most of the relationship. I have only ever like had one person I think turn around and go, "Is it the money thing?" And it's like, no. It's like I don't date for money. I don't earn enough to date. realistically, unfortunately, in most relationships, regardless of what I earn, I'm going to be the one with the considerable sum of money because I have a housing deposit. Truth. You guys can't access it. The reality is, like, even if I earn like a significant amount less than, say, Paul, for example, I would still be the one with the most money for various reasons, you know? So, like, it's doesn't really matter to me if people think it's a gold digger thing. It's like, well, for one, he doesn't have life insurance, he can't afford it. But yeah. um yeah. Wifey thought she was dating an older man. Jokes on her. Just in the name, right? It's just the description. There's a certain kind of pleasure when something hangs low. Man, that clip looks so visible right now. Bruh, if you want. Oh no, I meant just the name, not the actor. Oh, okay. No. He's no. It's his name's not that long. Ironically, right? Not that I want to like give away anything right now, but ironically, Paul's middle name, without saying what it is, Paul's middle name is the exact same as one of his older brothers, which I think older, maybe younger, which I find really funny sometimes. Like, haha, your parents couldn't come up with a more interesting name. But like, yeah, like, I mean, if you look at his lineage, I think he did mention on stream the other time that he's like one of 5, right? They're all boys. And he's got 3 kids, also all boys. That guy is never gonna have girls ever. But like, yeah, no, like, he's his middle name is like the same as one of his like older brothers, which I find really funny, but it's like uh older brother, I think. I don't know. I don't actually know the like. He tells me all the time, and I cannot remember what the like generational line is. Rat, stop putting links in the chat. So Paul's name is Paul McPaulson. Yes, indeed. Dude, some people are called that. Bruh. Yeah. I also had other things to talk about. Steam. I have to talk about Steam. Partially because I'm not sure how directly it's going to affect the streams. From what I've looked into, it shouldn't affect them at all. However, I think I do need to address it because I don't know where this is going. Right. For anyone that's in the UK, I don't know if you've noticed, but Steam has also fell victim to Ofcom's legislation. You know, the Child Safety Protection Act. You know, you now have to declare if you're over the age of 18 through ID verification, right? So Steam has also unfortunately now fallen victim to that. So, their way of going around it is definitely like I can see what they're trying to do. So basically now Steam has decided that if you're under the age of 18 or if you're over the age of 18, you have to prove it by linking a credit, not a debit, a credit card to your Steam profile if you live in the UK. Now, here's an issue. Most UK citizens, especially Gen Z, don't have credit cards. It's a pretty significant statistic, right? But like most of us, myself included, do not own a credit card. So I have no way of verifying that I'm over the age of 18, 16. So it's their only form of verification right now. I don't think they've even put up the ID verification option. So I'm in a bit of a tough spot with it because from what I've looked into online, it's temporary, or at least it's going to be a long-term solution, but it's like they're looking into other options. It's just what they've gone with for now. So this isn't like looking to be the only option in future, so this is just a problem right now. The other thing is that I think it's mainly just for porn games. I think I can say that on Twitch, but it's like, it's mostly like the hentai games and stuff, right? Dude, it's like what's going on there? Just noticed my board, it's like slightly off. Is that gonna do it on the other side? God damn it, what's going on here? What's up with that? Okay, no, I think it's just the way the art is. That's unfortunate. Okay, sorry guys. Moving my window in the background. Even GOG, I don't know about that. So what was I saying? Yeah, so Steam's verification is now through credit card only. Because in the UK you can get a debit card from the age of about 16, I think. You can get it quite early. Credit cards, however, you have to be over the age of 18, right? Makes sense, okay? The problem is that I and many other Gen Zers grew up with every adult under the sun pretty much drilling it into our brains that credit cards are a gambling trap, essentially, and that if we can avoid needing one, avoid getting one. So, I am fortunate in that I've never needed one, and so I've never had one. I think my credit score is actually pretty considerably high from what they told me. It might not be now because obviously I've moved house and they have to verify you and that can affect your credit score, but one of the things with that is that I've never had a credit card, right? Never needed a credit card. Paul also doesn't have a credit card. So basically that means that I can no longer access 18 plus content on Steam. This might or might not affect streams, right? Because I don't think, because online, from what I read online, was that it's, some people were saying it's only for the like hentai like porn games, right? Okay, fine. We don't play those on stream. I don't play those in general. I don't ever play those. I've never like, well, there's one that I play, maybe have. I have, but not played, right? Don't ask. But the I was saying, but I don't know. Skyrim is technically, I'm just using Skyrim as an example, but Skyrim is also technically an 18 plus game, right? It doesn't make sense to me that they'd only be doing it through the like icon games, right? I don't think that that's all they're doing. I think it's just going to be generally for the 18 plus games, which is unfortunate because it means that this might or might not affect streams, because I have no way of verifying my account as of current because of the fact that I just simply don't have a credit card. I have a driver's license. Well, I have a provisional driver's license, right? So I have a form of ID. I have already used that form of ID to verify my age on Discord. I didn't have a choice. Realistically, like, if I could avoid it, I would have. Most websites that are like, you have to be 18 plus to view this, I've just not used anymore, right? Don't watch porn, so it's not a problem, right? That's the reality of it, okay? So it's not been a direct problem. The only direct problem it's been, I'm surprised Twitch hasn't cracked down on it, which might cause some issues for me because obviously my content is marked as 18 plus, but I might not even be able to stream because I can't verify my age if it's going down this route again, whatever. Discord, however, I did have to verify my age on, which is unfortunate, but like I couldn't leave it because I had no way of moderating what kind of went on in the 18 plus chat, and Mino very kindly offered to moderate for me, but it was like, it was going to be a short-term solution. I had to kind of bend the knee, and you know, I had to use my ID, and that's fine. I also verified my ID on YouTube a long time ago, so YouTube's had it for years, but like, whatever. Steam, however, not giving the option of ID is pretty significant, because I know it is a temporary thing, but it's like until they find a better option, because I think they're in agreement that no one really wants to have to show their ID to an online service. That's a, you know, security risk in general. That's fine. But the fact that they've gone for the credit card approach is like, wow, okay, so pretty much no Gen Z generation can access your website anymore, is essentially what they've said. And it's making people panic. I don't think it's gonna affect stream, because if it is limited to the like hentai games, it's fine. Because we're not gonna play those on stream ever. I don't think I could for Twitch purposes, but also because I don't play them anyway. But I don't know how long we have until it spreads onto other games like I think Fears to Fathom was an age-restricted game. Poppy Playtime will also probably be age-restricted. And Skyrim, I think, is also age-restricted. Some other games as well. I'm just coming up with names in general, but like, I just wonder how long until this affects those games, which might cause the stream issues. That might mean that I have to kind of revert my plan again. Unfortunate, until they come up with this, because they're gonna have to come up with a solution. Like, this is like pretty much alienating a huge, like, this is alienating like quite a considerable chunk of their community. I don't know how many Steam users have a credit card, but I wouldn't imagine it's very many. I'm not just gonna get, the thing is as well, because people are like, well, maybe getting a credit card wouldn't be such a bad thing. I'm not getting a fucking credit card just so I can use Steam. I'm sorry, there are other options. The other issue is like with Steam, they cracked down on VPN usage from what I understand. Not that I've ever needed it, but it means that you can't even use a VPN, because they'll potentially, like, if they catch you, it goes against their terms of service. They can ban your account very easily. And I'm not losing my account. So there's not really any way around it as of current. I'm just talking about it because I don't know how many people are aware of it, because it's only come into effect like 2 days ago from what I understand. I didn't even know about it until this morning. Can I do anything about it? No. Are people on like TikTok and YouTube making a bigger thing of it than it actually is? Yes. If you do like 5 minutes of research, there are several people saying like it's a temporary thing. I don't know how legitimate that is, but I don't think they're long term planning on keeping it like that. Dude, my stomach is rumbling. I'm hungry as fuck. Is Paul using Steam? Paul has a Steam account. I don't know. I don't have access to it. That's what you're asking. Paul has a Steam account because he had to have a Steam account a long time ago to play a game, but I don't think he even remembers the username from what I understand, so I'm not friends with him or anything on my profile. Sorry, I'm not reading chat. What is happening? You can get gifted Steam games. Can you? Is that how that works? I don't know. Is it like, does it matter for the ones in your inventory already though? Inventory, library, whatever you want to call it. There's an easy workaround. If that's the case, then this isn't a problem. But I don't know if they're just gonna stop me being allowed to play it until I verify my age, which is something that I wouldn't put past them having to do. Sorry, mate, but if I had to give every single tidbit of my information and throw every bit of my privacy because Karen can't push a few buttons so a crotch biscuit can access certain sites, it's not my problem, it's our problem, it's their problem. Yeah, like, literally, I think this is the argument people are having when this is why there's been so many petitions to disband this lawsuit. It's terrible. It's a horrible idea. We've literally, like, the amount of cyber cyber breaches that we've had in the last year alone should tell you, as the government, enough that, you know, the internet isn't safe, and it's definitely not safe for holding things as sensitive as our ID verification, which says your full name, your date of birth, and if you're using a driver's license, which I am, also your address. So it's like, mine's not accurate. Mine's not accurate. I haven't changed mine yet. But then it's the fact that, like, oh man, it's just the fact that it's like, it's so stupid, and there's so many like reasons as to why it's wrong. I don't understand why they haven't turned around. I think it's because, well, I think the obvious is it's easier for them to kind of state that the it's easier for them to state that the give me a second, I can't actually see if you guys can hear me. What was I saying? It's easier because they can crack down on making everyone have to declare their age officially online. That's an easy like solution for them. What's not an easy solution for them is saying that parents that are caught allowing their kids to access certain content will be prosecuted, which is a law actually, but they have no way of moderating it. From what I understand, they do, if from what I understand from not direct experience, but I know people that have had this experience, where if a kid goes into school and says to their teacher that they've been allowed to watch like a not age appropriate film, like an 18+ film, right, through their parents, the teacher then has to report it legally. That's the law from what I understand. So that's been in effect for like ages. But realistically, I don't think people know about that. So it's not really something they can moderate, if that makes sense. So that's why this has come into effect. They can't moderate it any other way. And I understand it for that reason. And as someone who produces, you know, streams or 18+, I talk about things that are not suitable for kids to watch, right? It kind of, in a horrible way, gives me a bit of peace of mind, because it means that my content is limited in a way that means that people can't just push a button. But then VPNs are a thing, but then do kids know how to use VPNs? Tech savvy kids of this generation will. So realistically, like, there are going to be ways around it that the government isn't going to think about, because, you know, they're all boomers. Sorry. Like, no, like, kids are smart. Like, they're gonna get around this. Just like every kid, like, knew to get around, like, watching porn from, like, Blockbusters and stuff, you know? Like, it's not really, like, foolproof, and we know that now. However, it's kind of spreading into sort of environments that are going to cause me directly issues with streaming, because I don't know how long it's going to be until Twitch turns around and puts in the legislation. I don't think they have, because I've not had issues accessing my friends' streams. I've not had issues accessing my own streams, but my age is not verified on Twitch. I don't know if it's because it's verified through tax purposes, because I am an affiliate and I get paid through Twitch. And it might be something to do with that, but I don't know if that's a me thing or if that's just an internet usage thing in general. I couldn't tell you. I'd have to maybe ask Paul, because he's got an undeclared account, if that makes sense. But yeah, no, it's genuinely like, it's really shit that they're like, oh, you have to show your ID now. It's like, that's not the problem. The problem is that they're outsourcing it to US like companies to like, for the AI verification service, and it's like, how, you know, it's basically outsourcing our information to other countries, you know. Not that I want to be a conspiracy theorist about this, but it's like, you know, I can see the issue with that. Nothing against America or anything, it's just like, you know, how do we verify that that's a safe source, you know? And that's nothing against the country of origin, that's just a case of like internet like providers in general. So it's dumb. Hentai games are censored and need patches for lewd things in them. Are they? I know that Steam had to crack down recently because PayPal had a fit. And that I get because my friend at work was like complaining about it, and I was like, well, it's not a problem, just play other games. And he's like, yeah, but I want to play my hentai games. And I was like, okay, right, you fucking weirdo. But yeah, I know that they've sort of started doing stuff. They're just testing the waters because they can censor porn. What stops them from censoring whatever the hell they want? Yeah, like it's internet censorship is always like something that we've kind of like worried about. But again, this is kind of getting into the territory of tin hat wearing, and that's this is not me trying to like avoid the subject. It's just that I don't think that I can sit here and honestly talk about it as if I know anything about it, because I don't. I don't have the information to kind of say to you my opinions on it, but realistically, I don't know how accurate those opinions are. So I just think it's best if we just don't talk about that. But realistically, like, I can understand why people are worried about it, and I think that it is the start of it is potentially the start of internet censorship. But like, you know, during COVID, for example, like people were really freaking out about it then as well, and it wasn't really a problem. Like people made it a big deal, and it really wasn't. So, being a pirate is all right to be, yes, but we've kind of I can't say anything on Twitch, people, and I'm not going to, but like, I've been a sailor once or twice in my life. For stream as well. And that's all I'll say on that matter. It's no longer alright, it's a requirement. Straight up, like, I don't think I'm gonna sit here and be like, those adverts. I think that I can understand why people need to access certain things, but you don't need to, like, you know, support where you can. And if it's a small creator, if you're pirating from, if you're using unorthodox methods of obtaining content to avoid monetary providing, don't do that. But if you're doing it because you literally have no other way to access it, or if maybe the version that you want is not available anymore and this is the only way to access it, then fine, that's fine. But like, if you're trying to avoid purchasing something, please like consider the fact that, you know, people's incomes like live on that. But then there's some that being said, some things are just asking a bit too much money, and that's fine. But like, I can't sit here and honestly say what I think about it, because that would be wrong of me. But then there are websites that you can get stuff for not very much money. But then if it's another thing is like archival purposes. We've talked about this before. I've had to use sailor methods, right? The ocean, you know, sea, salty boat, you know, get what I'm putting down, right? Being a pirate is all right with me. You know, I've had to do it, and I've had to do it for stream. I say about this? I think I did talk about this at the time. We played The Sims 2 for the PSP on Steam on stream. Guys, how the fuck am I gonna do that on a computer without like having to maybe go through the Internet Archive? And there's another game that we'll be playing in future that will probably have to be done through the same methods. It's fine in those situations, and I don't think that anyone would disagree, because right, if you're a game creator and you're going to get cross at people for like downloading your games on the Internet Archive because you've taken it down and made it unavailable, that's on you. You know, you're not losing money because you weren't going to be making any money from it anymore anyway. That's just how I look at it. But like, for example, The Sims, right? The Sims 1 and 2 were abandonware for several years until recently. But I had those through unorthodox methods because I couldn't get them. I couldn't purchase them. And I purchased the physical discs, and I've got them all behind me. They're all stacked up, right? And then I tried to download them on my computer. Manage The Sims 1, could not manage The Sims 2, right? So unfortunately, I had to resort to downloading it through the internet, right? Because I couldn't buy it on EA games anymore, okay? And then EA released the re-release, right? I bought it immediately, okay? Because that's just how it works. It's like I was accessing it through unnecessary means because it wasn't available. But like the second it was available for purchase, I just got it. Not because I want to pay EA or anything. Sorry, EA. It's actually just because the simplicity of downloading and updating a game is a lot easier when there's a platform that allows you to do it. Sorry. One thing that stressed me out with playing The Sims 2 was that if anything went wrong, the automatic suggestion online is obviously, and this is with most games, is that you should uninstall and reinstall the game. When you Internet Archive download content, you can't do that. So it's a lot easier to use it on a service provider. So realistically, I can't sit here and say that pirating is a good thing in most cases, but then if it's for archival purposes, it's fine. And I think anyone that disagrees is maybe part of the problem. But a lot of like game providers also upload their games to Internet Archive if they're planning on taking it down. It's just how the internet works. Do you use a bank app? I do, yeah. Why? Is Paul using Steam? You can use his card. Again, Paul doesn't have a credit card. So it's not because I'm a certain age. I am 24, right? I can get my own fucking credit card. The problem is that Paul just simply does not have one, and I don't have one, and we're not going to get one. So there's no point. And I'm not just getting a fucking credit. I'm not affecting my fucking credit score to access Steam. I'm sorry. That's ridiculous. But I don't think it's a long-term thing. I think it's temporary. You can gift games on Steam. Yeah, I think that's the way that it's going to go around, but I think that's why it's a temporary measure on Steam's part. I don't think they're planning on it long-term, and I think that they will probably have to implement something if they're going to really crack down on 18 plus content, right? They will have to implement something that says that the user is verified to own or obtain 18 plus content. So realistically, it's like, yeah, you can gift it right now, but I can't guarantee that you'll be able to long term, and I don't think you will. I think they will crack down on that. But I don't think they're going to be keeping up with this like credit card thing. I think that's just a temporary. Also, part of me sits here and hopes that by the time this all hypothetically settles, the government will have abolished it, right? Not gonna happen. I think that it's a losing battle. I'm not like... The petitions are, I think, a very noble cause, but we had enough signatures, right? And it got sent off, and it got brought up to Parliament, right? And they just simply turned around and was like, no. Just no. Like, they just said, we're not doing, like, it's going ahead, like it or not. I think it was probably a very simple, like, no, not happening. So realistically, I think if it's gonna be something that they eventually abolish, it will be when a new government comes into power. And also, I'd like to stress, this is for the UK. I don't think this is a thing everywhere else. I think this is just the UK government being crackheads. It's like, can you focus on... it makes me angry. Oh, no, this is a political topic. No, it makes me angry. It does. Because realistically, like, why... This is the AI conversation all over again. Why the fuck are we focusing? Goddamn, why are we focusing on shit like this? When there's so many other things that you're dealing with at UK government. Jeez. At the Labour Party? Jeez. Like, why are you focusing on censoring the internet when there's so many other problems? Like, I'm sorry. Like, just make a thing that says any parent caught letting their children access 18 plus content will be fined or jailed, right? That's all you had to do. You don't need to like restrict the rest of us because you're spending more time trying to like manage the fucking backlash that you're getting about it, that you're not putting that energy into like reforming like the school system and stuff. And like, can you just like focus on things we've been asking for several years? Because I can guarantee you no one has ever asked for this. No one. I'm sorry. And if parents are asking for it, they're lazy. That's just the truth of it. My kids, they can't access anything that they're not supposed to. They're not allowed on the internet after a certain amount of time. They're not allowed to access the internet unmonitored. Not directly. We don't sit over their shoulder. But they're not accessing things that they shouldn't be. And they're very, like, they're not needing to. We entertain them in, like, modern ways. Like, not modern ways. Like, board games and stuff. We don't need to let the internet parent our children. I'm sorry. If you're one of those parents that are like, we need internet censorship, then you're part of a bigger problem that you just fuck off, I'm really on it. This is a rant stream. I can't, like, genuinely upsets me. I just get really cross about the government focusing on shit like this. It's like, we didn't need this. We didn't ask for this. Maybe stop putting the pressure on everyone else and not acknowledging that parents are not parenting their children. I'm sorry. It's not okay, right? Like, I'm just, like, so fed up with it. It's like, I get really annoyed by people letting the internet parent their kids. And it's like, you can do that and also not let them access 18 plus content. Okay? Sorry. And also, if you're gonna invent, like, a law that says that we have to provide our ID, make a fucking server that's UK government secured that we can upload, like, some sort of data onto so you can verify that we're 18 plus, and then give us a passcode or something to access the internet, like a one-time verification. It would have been so much easier. So much easier. We didn't need this. Why are you outsourcing? You're just being lazy. You're just as lazy. This is laziness. This is just purely laziness. I'm so angry. I agree with internet, like, the age restriction thing needing verified. I do agree with that because I think that it's very easy to just click away from it. I just think that they shouldn't be, like, outsourcing it to several different companies, right? To verify it for them. That's just lazy. UK government, do better. Anyway. No ID verification on GOG for UK. No. Government officials keep underestimating the threats of cyber attacks, so unless every single tidbit of their information gets leaked, they won't take it seriously. It's just a lot of old people thinking that cybersecurity is some impenetrable wall of data or some shit. It's not. It's never has been, and it's doing this basically endangering everyone more than anything else. This is very true. I think that this is where I kind of have political opinions, and again, I'm going to be very careful, and I don't want to talk about this very much, but I think that the UK government especially needs to kind of reassess their, like, age limit on who can become a government official, because something that I'm noticing is it's a lot of people that maybe don't have the knowledge of the internet as well as, like, maybe a Gen Z would. Not that I think Gen Z should be in power, but, like, the people making the decisions are clearly, like, maybe not up to date with the issues of, like, cybersecurity. And I know some people are going to be like, oh, well, no, they've got experts in the field. Yeah, but why aren't they saying anything about the problematicness of, like, this issue? And why are they, if they are there, why are they getting drowned out by everyone else, like, being lazy people? Like, lazy parents, sorry. Anyway. I was able to set up an entire World of Warcraft server using an entire university internet. IT was pissed. Very cool. My abandonware. I don't know if that's a website I know about. That's not the one I use. I just use the Internet Archive. There was another one. It might be that one. I use that one. I don't know. I use the Internet Archive for a lot of things, but yeah. The Wayback Machine is basically like another option. Me, can I purchase my childhood game? Company, no. Me, okay, you can I purchase it in another way? Company, no. Me, okay, I'll download it then. Company, your greed sickens me. Yeah, straight up, like, it's, I would quite happily support, you know, I don't pirate games ever if I can avoid it. I have pirated abandonware games, and I will continue to do so. If it's purchasable, I'm going to purchase it because legally and morally that's the right thing to do, right? But realistically, if I can't access it in a purchasable space, I'm going to resort to the only other option, which is archival preservation, which is part of the good part of the internet. However, I have also in the past been swayed, and I don't agree with this anymore, and I don't do this actively. But previously, my shitty ex-boyfriend, the first boyfriend that we've had loads of problems with, was like a religious, he would religiously download torrented movies and stuff, right? Yes. I didn't really see the point. And to be fair to him, I don't think he didn't have a TV when I first got with him, so. But like, in order for him to watch movies, he had to watch them on a computer that didn't have a disc drive, and it was a choice between spending the money on a disc drive and then physical DVDs, which would rack up quite a bit, or just download them. And I can understand why he resorted to that, but then he pushed it on me as well, and I avoided it like the plague. I'm not going to sit here and say that I don't own torrented stuff for other reasons, and I'm not going to be hypocritical. I have done, and I do have stuff, but you know, if I can avoid it, I'm going to avoid it. You know, like if I don't have to, then I'm going to not because it's stressful. But yeah, no, it's like if you're gonna like, I get rid like this is why I think EA did the right thing by re-releasing The Sims. Yeah, it doesn't work great, but at least we have it, you know, and at least they can be like, well, now you don't have any excuse to torrent it, and it's like, okay, for me, I much prefer the option of purchasing. But I know not everyone has the money, so I'm not shaming anyone for not being able to do that through monetary purposes and stuff. However, be aware that there are risks with doing that, and I have known, it's never happened to me, knock on wood, which I don't have. It's never happened to me, but I know several people that have been contacted by their internet providers and the local authorities for doing this shit. So, approach with caution if you're going to do it, and I don't recommend it. Sorry, EA. Don't say sorry to them, nor others of their like they don't deserve it, dude. It was a sarcastic apology. I will quite happily like pay for The Sims because I love those games, and if I have easy access to it, I'm gonna take the easy access option. But like, to me, torrenting and downloading stuff pirate-wise is not easy, and it's a very stressful experience for me personally. So I'm not gonna do it if I can avoid it. However, we will be playing Monster High at some point in the next couple weeks. So in the next couple weeks, probably on Thursday. So that's an abandonware game. So just be advised, okay? If it was available on Steam still, I would purchase it on Steam, but it's not available anywhere anymore, so unfortunately I don't really have a choice. But that came along with the new generation starting, so. I had to get Discworld games from the archives because it's abandoned. Yeah, like, this is... Yeah, it's like, if it's abandoned where it's legally fine, I think, from what I understand. Like, I think they can still sue, but realistically, like, you took them to court over it, they wouldn't win. I don't think, anyway. It's like, you took them to court and literally said, Your Honor, my honor, Your Honor, I would quite happily purchase this game. However, they have made it impossible. Therefore, I have been forced to resort to free methods. However, if they were to release this on a paying platform, I would pay it. And the honor would probably turn around and be like, all right, based. You know, it's just not gonna hold up in court. I'm sorry. Are we still talking about AI an hour later? No, not directly. Now we went full circle. Sorry. Also, welcome back, Mina. Welcome back, Mina. I made breakfast and have been listening to most of the stream. Well, then you didn't miss it. Made enough for chat. Yeah, share. Fucking share. If it's abandoned where it belongs to the people, simple as. This is very true. I would agree with this statement. I just think, I mean, we've talked about it several times on stream, like, going back to the conversation. It's like, I just don't. It's a shame when abandonware happens. I get it. Like, I get it, right? Because, you know, there are various reasons why games go offline, okay? There are so many reasons, and it might just not be. There might be, like, it might be explained and it might not be. So these things do just kind of happen. But you know, I think most people would agree with me that I would hope, like, maybe I'm just lawful good. Maybe that's how it's like going off. But like, I would hope that, you know, people would support small creators to purchase, like, by purchasing games, especially from like indie creators. I will always quite happily like spend money on indie creators' games to support them. However, if they make it abandonware, they're forcing me to have to resort to other means of accessing it, which is a shame. Because EA was like, if you could, lots of people emailed EA when The Sims 1 and 2 first like went offline on EA Games or Origin at the time. A lot of people contacted them about getting it, and they basically turned around and was like, no. And they're like, no, we're not re-releasing it. And that's fine, but it's like you're basically forcing a lot of people to have to resort to other methods, and you know, you kind of have to live with the consequences of that. But I know that there are many like game creators that probably wouldn't be okay with that, and that's fine. But like realistically, it's like, it's your choice, you know. If you like, if you don't want to, like, if you have to take a game offline, you're forcing people to have to do this. And it's like, I know some games go offline for licensing reasons. If that's the monetary thing, then you could just release the game for free, you know. But they won't, because then they can't profit off it. And so it's like, is it us being greedy, or is it game companies being greedy? However, I know some people take games offline for other reasons, like branding and stuff. EA took The Sims down because they couldn't support the game anymore. Basically, whenever the game, like, whenever like PCs updated and stuff, games oftentimes have to update, and they couldn't sustain it anymore. And realistically, it was an outdated game anyway, so they took it down because, well, because like they had The Sims 4 was the thing that was bringing in the big bucks, right? I don't think The Sims 2 was ever bringing in money, and so they took it down because they couldn't support people contacting like live chats and stuff and asking for help with tech support on these games, because the response was simply just to turn around and go, it's just because it's old. Like, you know, and that's fine. But it's like, you know, the fact that they've re-released it means a lot to most of the community, because it means they have thought about it, and that's nice. But the Monster High games is an example of that. Like, they took it down because their branding changed. So there was no point leaving the original games up, because it wouldn't be relevant anymore, which is a shame. But, you know, they could have left it up, or they could have left it for free, but obviously it's tied to their profile, so they couldn't leave it up and stuff. And I get that, but it's like, you know, now I have to go through other methods of accessing it. And then like there's the other side of it where we've had experience on stream with, like, you have to access games on Internet Archival like websites because it's not a game that would be available on PC anyway. That's another reason. And that's the reason I've had to use with the Sims 2 on the PSP. I had to torrent that one. Or not really torrent it, just downloaded it, but I had to use an emulator for that, and I didn't, Twitch, the gray zone on Twitch, so I'm fine, but it's I had to do that because it wasn't available. But also because I have the game, I have paid for the game, I have a PSP, I have the game to go with the PSP. Does it work? Does it fuck? That game is honestly like not playable on the PSP anymore. So having it on the PC was great because I actually got to enjoy the game. And I also got to see it in good quality, which is not something that you would have the option to do on PSP. However, you have to be careful with some game developers, like Nintendo, for example. You have to be you cannot like play their games on Twitch pretty much at all. They don't fuck around with that, which sucks. Which is a shame, but so that one will never have that. But yeah, like if I was to do, because I plan to eventually do The Sims 2 Castaway, it will be the same method, unfortunately. Because it's just not available on PC, and I don't think it ever was. And then also like the Monster High game, that was available on PC, but it was also available on other platforms. There's another Monster High game that I am considering playing, but again, it would have to be done through an emulator because it again wasn't available on PC. So it's like you kind of have to in some situations, but I would try purchasing it first. That's always my first go-to. Not that I'm shaming anyone that can't afford to, but anyway, yeah, I think I'm good. Do you guys want to see the other scene before I go? Because I'm gonna wrap up stream now, but because I need to wait and also need to eat because my stomach hurts. But I'll show you the other screen. There you go. So we've got this one as well. There is also a daytime version of this. But I don't have it on the assets yet. Comfy, yeah, it's like my actual den. It's cool. Both of these artists are available in my description. I have put credit description in the bottom. I will work on a bot to do it as well. But the this one also has a night version. It's also a static image, unfortunately. I've just had to put some like glowing things in the background just to make it look like a bit more alive, but it is a static image, so unfortunate. I will also probably have to like look into other sort of ways of making this look nice because I think the orangeness of the background is kind of clashing with the green of everything else, so I might have to like look in some more assets, but this is kind of what I've had to. Adorable, thank you. Yes, sure. Yes, this is it. I don't know if I've got the other ones better. Maybe this is better. Maybe you can see this one better. Yeah. So there is two options with this. I did also try and put the logo above me, but it just did not want to work, so that was unfortunate. Yeah, I think it's cute. It's like nice. It's like still the den, but I'm devastated, dude. I'm fucking devastated about the like my original burrow. It's gone, burned in a fire, forever lost. I will rebuild though. I'm in a rental accommodation right now. Yeah, no, I will look into maybe trying to maybe commission something that looks similar but not directly because AI art and all that, but similar color palette is what I'm looking for, maybe a bit more black, but yeah, I will look into getting maybe something more custom. The problem is I'm looking at spending at least £100 to £300 for it, so fuck that. Not that I want to support artists, don't get me wrong. It's more just like I can't afford that right now. So right now we've just got these, and these were pretty affordable. You can tip the artist as much as you want. I did tip the artist. I will not be disclosing how much. But they have a base price, and you kind of just contribute however much you want. Also, another thing is the artist that made this one, which is the night background in the description. I can't pronounce their names, and that's why I haven't got them on me. But they also have made some free assets where you just kind of donate however much you want to pay for it. So if that's like £1 or more, like that's great, you can, and it's pretty easy way of getting it. And also these are on VGen, and VGen is AI free, so yes, as far as I'm aware. But yeah, no, as far as I'm aware, it's AI free. So these are options for you if you're looking into starting streaming. I think this is a great option. These were not expensive. Like, I think the base price of both these backgrounds were about £4. So yeah, maybe a little more, but it was in dollars and the conversion rates and all that. But yeah, I did tip the artist. I won't disclose how much. I like to imagine Jassa gave them the money and one dead squirrel as bonus. Yes, not a dead squirrel, it's alive. I love all my forest critters. All right. Anyway, guys, with that, I'm going to love and leave you because my throat hurts and I'm hungry, and I'm sorry that we didn't play Portal today. I don't know what we're doing on Thursday right now. I do have a plan. I just have to get around to doing that plan, and I haven't yet, and I don't think I'm going to have time to do it today, but if I do, then I'll do it. But if not, we might just play Portal on Thursday. We'll see. And I'm hoping I feel better on Thursday. I'm also sorry for missing stream last Thursday. I was pretty rough, and also I had to host in the morning, and then by the time people left, I was like exhausted, and then I had to be somewhere in the evening, and I had a headache. I was exhausted. I wanted to go to fucking bed, so I went to bed, which is unfortunate. But I also didn't have time on Friday, so yeah. I take care. Take care. Thank you, Mina. Thank you, Satan. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Thank you for all your lovely chatters. It's nice getting to talk to you guys. I also like just having these just chatting streams because people tend to like sort of disappear when I start playing games, which is fair because like I'm not really as active in the talking department then. But it's like it's always nice when I am talking and so many people just come in just to chat with me. That's always lovely, and it makes me feel really special. Thank you. Thank you, Honest by Rod. Thank you, Mina. Thank you, Rosita. Thank you, Saber Sensei. Thank you, Forest Mystic. And thank you, James Uncle and Net and everyone else who came in chat. I didn't see. I hope I'm not. Just Peaches as well. Thank you, everyone, for coming in to say hi. I will love and leave you all now, and I will see you all very, very soon. Bye bye. Bye 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 bye. Ah.